"Sweetheart, we can't come to your wedding," Mom said, her voice calm as if she were telling me we'd run out of milk. I froze. "What do you mean you can't?" Dad cleared his throat. "Your sister's wedding is the same weekend. You understand, right? She's the older one. We already promised her." The phone line went silent. Just the sound of my heartbeat pounding in my ears. My sister Lily had always been their golden child, the one who could do no wrong. But this? Missing my wedding because of hers? That wasn't favoritism anymore. That was a choice. I forced a smile that they couldn't see. "Sure," I said quietly. "I understand." But inside something broke and something else woke up. My name is Ava Mitchell. And from wherever you're watching this, stay with me. Have you ever been treated like a stranger in your own family? That night, I stared at my engagement ring under the soft glow of my bedside lamp. The diamond sparkled like it didn't belong to me, like it was mocking me for still hoping they'd call back and say, "We changed our minds." They didn't. Instead, I got a text from Mom, "Don't make this harder than it is. You know your sister needs us." No apology. No warmth. Just justification. I typed back, "No worries, Mom. Everything's taken care of." And I meant it. Because that's the night I decided, if my family wouldn't stand beside me on my wedding day, I'd build a world so breathtaking, so far beyond their reach, that they'd choke on their own silence when they saw it. I booked a flight to Italy that same night. And as the plane lifted off, I whispered to myself, "Let's see who needs who now." The first morning I woke up in Tuscany, the air felt different. It wasn't heavy with expectation or judgment. It was quiet, golden, free. Vineyards stretched like emerald waves beyond my window, the sun bleeding orange over the hills. It almost made me forget why I was here. Almost. Because beneath the beauty there was purpose. This wasn't just a wedding anymore. It was a statement. I wasn't going to cry over the family that never chose me. I was going to build something so magnificent, they'd wish they had. I called Marcus, my fiancé, my calm in every storm. He'd been silent when I told him what my parents said, not because he didn't care, but because he did. He just didn't want to see me break. When I told him my plan, a wedding in Italy, intimate, breathtaking, entirely ours, he laughed softly. "Are you sure, Ava? That's a big move." I smiled into the phone. "No, Marcus. It's the move." And he didn't question it again. Within days I found it. A villa perched on a hill near Florence, with marble arches and olive trees whispering in the wind. It wasn't just beautiful. It was defiant. Every corner felt like a promise to myself. You don't need their approval to be worthy. I signed the papers. Paid in full, $6 million. My heart didn't race, not even once. Money comes and goes. Dignity doesn't. The next weeks were a blur of white fabrics, string lights, and secret smiles. Florists, chefs, a local violinist. Every detail whispered luxury but breathed love. It was everything I'd dreamed of, and everything they thought I'd never deserve. One night, while standing alone in the candlelit courtyard, I got a message from Lily. "Hey sis, hope your little event goes well, winking face. Mom says we'll FaceTime you from my wedding so you don't feel left out." I laughed out loud. The sound echoed against the stone walls, sharp and bitter. They thought they were leaving me behind, but in truth I'd already left them long ago. As I stood beneath the stars, the villa glowing behind me, I whispered, "This isn't revenge. This is peace, dressed in silk and champagne." But I lied to myself. Because deep down I knew, when the photos came out and they saw what they'd walked away from, it would be revenge. And it would be beautiful. The morning of my wedding, Tuscany felt like it was holding its breath. Soft mist rolled over the hills, and the air smelled of lavender and rain, like the earth itself was preparing for something sacred. I stood before the mirror in my suite, silk robe slipping off my shoulders, sunlight spilling across the marble floor. My reflection looked calm. Not the trembling daughter they used to silence. Not the girl begging for approval. No, this was me reborn. Marcus knocked gently before stepping in. He wore a cream suit, a quiet smile, and eyes that looked at me like I was something worth protecting. "You ready?" he asked softly. I nodded. More than ever. The ceremony wasn't huge, just close friends, a few of Marcus's family, and the sound of a violin weaving through the vines. No mother fixing my veil. No father walking me down the aisle. But strangely, I didn't feel alone. When I reached the altar, Marcus took my hands and I swear the entire world disappeared. The words we spoke weren't just vows, they were closure. Every "I do" felt like stitching up an old wound my family had left open. After we kissed, cheers erupted, gentle, sincere, pure. Champagne poured, music swelled, and laughter carried into the sunset. For a moment I thought, this is enough. Maybe I didn't need them to see. Maybe peace was finally enough. But then I saw my phone light up on the table. A notification. Lily and James. Wedding photos uploaded. Curiosity tugged at me. I opened it. Their smiles were perfect, filtered golden. Mom was crying. Dad beaming. Caption: Our proudest day as parents, red heart. My stomach twisted. Not in jealousy, but in finality. They'd erased me from their story. As if I'd never existed. I stared at the photos for a long time, then turned my camera on myself. The golden hour light hit just right. The villa behind me glowing like a dream. I took one picture. Just one. Captioned it. Sometimes family doesn't show up, so you build one that does. And I hit post. Within an hour it exploded. Friends, old classmates, even distant relatives. Comments, messages, disbelief. And somewhere across the ocean I knew my parents were seeing it too. Their silence that night wasn't peaceful anymore. It was haunting. And for the first time in my life, that silence was mine to enjoy. By the next morning my phone was a battlefield. Hundreds of messages, tags, reposts. My photo had gone viral. Dream wedding in Tuscany, one headline read. Self-made bride builds her own paradise, another said. But I didn't care about the attention. All I cared about was the 3 missed calls from Mom. I stared at the screen, my coffee untouched. After months of silence, now she wanted to talk. Guilt doesn't have good timing. It arrives only when the world is watching. When she finally texted, it was short. Ava. Call us. We need to talk. Need. Funny word. They never needed me before. Marcus looked up from across the table. You don't have to answer. I sighed. I know. But I want to hear it. So I called. Mom answered almost instantly, her voice trembling. Ava, honey, why didn't you tell us it was going to be that kind of wedding? I smiled bitterly. Would it have changed anything? Dad's voice cut in sharper. You embarrassed your family. Everyone's calling, asking why we weren't there. I laughed quietly. Oh, so now you care about appearances? There was silence, that long, heavy kind that fills every room they ever walked into. Mom finally whispered, we didn't mean to hurt you. You know we love you. I stared out at the Tuscan hills. You don't get to say that, Mom. Not after choosing Lily. She started crying. The sound used to make me melt. Now it just echoed. You've changed, she said. Yeah, I replied softly. I had to. When I hung up, Marcus reached for my hand. You okay? I smiled faintly. Better than okay. That night, as lanterns floated above the villa pool, I read through the comments on my post. People I hadn't spoken to in years wrote things like, you're an inspiration. Proof that peace looks better than revenge. But they didn't know, it was revenge. Just wrapped in grace. Then came one last message. From Lily. Wow sis. Congratulations. Didn't know you could afford something like that. Must be nice being dramatic for the internet. I stared at her words and smiled. Because what she didn't realize was that the drama was just beginning. I clicked on her profile and saw her next big headline. Lily and James. Honeymoon fundraiser. Help us start our life together, red heart. And that's when an idea began to bloom. Slow, dark, and perfect. Revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a whisper wrapped in a smile. Lily's post about her honeymoon fundraiser hit me harder than I expected. Here she was, the golden daughter, the family jewel, asking strangers for money to sip champagne in Bali. And my parents? They were in the comments writing, so proud of our baby girl, with little heart emojis. I wasn't angry. Not anymore. but I was ready to make them see. I scrolled through the fundraiser details, pretending to be just another admirer. Goal: $25,000. Amount raised so far: $8,300. I could have ignored it. I opened a new browser tab. Anonymous donation, $10,000. Message: from someone who knows what being second place feels like. It took less than a minute. One click and the internet would do the rest. Within hours, screenshots spread like wildfire. People were obsessed, trying to figure out who the mysterious donor was. Lily posted a video, all smiles and fake tears. "Oh my gosh, I don't know who did this, but thank you, whoever you are." Her followers flooded the comments, speculating, gossiping, digging. It didn't take long before one of them found my Tuscany photo again. Caption: the ring, the villa, and then the connection. Wait, isn't that her sister? And just like that, the internet turned. Curiosity became chaos. Comments under Lily's post shifted from admiration to accusation. Why did your family skip her wedding for yours? Did you really let your sister celebrate alone? That's cold. By the next day, her fundraiser page was filled with hate. People demanded refunds. Her sponsors, gone. Her image shattered. I didn't post a thing. Didn't say a word. I just watched from my balcony as the Tuscan sun dipped behind the hills, painting everything gold, even the pieces of my past. Marcus walked out, wrapping his arms around me. "You look peaceful," he whispered. "I am," I said. "For the first time, it doesn't hurt anymore." He smiled. "So this was revenge?" I shook my head slowly. No. This was truth, finally speaking for itself. Still, deep down, I knew the silence from home was coming again. And this time it would be louder than ever. By sunrise, my family's picture-perfect world had begun to crack. And I didn't have to lift a single finger. Lily's fundraiser was taken down overnight. Her sponsorship deals vanished. And my parents? They went into full damage control mode. Mom called first. "Ava, what did you do?" she hissed, her voice trembling between rage and panic. I blinked slowly, looking out at the vineyards bathed in morning light. "Nothing," I said. "I just lived my life." The internet connected the dots. Dad took the phone next. "You've humiliated this family," he barked. I laughed softly. "No, Dad. I just showed the world what you already did." He went silent. That silence, the same one that used to make me fold as a child, now sounded like victory. They hung up without another word. By noon, the story had gone viral. "Sister's $6 million wedding sparks family scandal." The headline screamed across social media. My inbox overflowed with interview requests, sponsorship offers, podcasts begging me to share my truth. I didn't accept a single one. Because this wasn't about fame. It was about peace, earned the hard way. Meanwhile, Lily was losing it publicly. She posted teary videos claiming the internet twisted everything. She begged people to stop bullying her. But no one was buying it. The comments were ruthless. "So your parents ditched your sister's wedding and now you want sympathy? Karma's expensive, huh?" And yet, watching it all unfold, I didn't feel joy. Just clarity. Marcus found me that evening on the terrace, scrolling through the chaos with a half-empty glass of wine. He touched my shoulder gently. "You okay?" "I don't know," I admitted. "It's like I got what I wanted, but it doesn't feel how I imagined." He sat beside me. Revenge never feels like victory. It just gives you room to breathe. I looked out at the horizon, a soft orange fading into blue. For the first time, I wasn't chasing approval. I wasn't waiting for an apology. I was just existing. But peace doesn't last forever, not in my family. That night, I received a message from an unknown number. Just 3 words. "You went too far." I didn't need to ask who it was. As the number was Dad's. I stared at it for a long time, my fingers hovering over the screen. Then I smiled to myself and whispered, "No, Dad. I finally went far enough." When they said they wanted to talk in person, I almost didn't go. Almost. But closure has a way of calling you home, even when home feels like a battlefield. So, a week later, I was standing on my parents' front porch in California. Same red brick house. Same white door. Only this time I wasn't the daughter begging to be let in. Mom opened the door first. Her face looked tired, not from age but from shame. "Ava," she whispered. "You shouldn't have done this." I stepped past her into the living room, my heels echoing against the hardwood floor. Framed photos of Lily's wedding lined the mantel. Not one of me. Dad appeared next, his arms crossed. "You've ruined your sister's life. She's getting threats online." I met his eyes. "You ruined mine a long time ago. The difference is, I rebuilt it." Mom flinched. "We didn't mean to choose sides, Ava. You have to understand." "No," I interrupted. "You did choose sides. You chose hers. Every single time." The words hung heavy between us. Years of unspoken hurt finally taking shape. Dad's voice cracked slightly. "You embarrassed this family on a global scale." I smirked. "No, I just gave the world the truth you tried to bury." Silence. Mom sat down on the couch, tears forming. "We were just trying to keep the peace." I knelt slightly, meeting her eyes. "You don't get to call it peace when someone has to disappear for it to exist." Her lip trembled. "We thought you were strong enough to handle it." I laughed bitterly. Strong enough to be abandoned? The room fell still. Even the clock seemed to stop ticking. Then behind me I heard a soft voice. "Ava." It was Lily. Standing in the doorway, her eyes swollen, her phone clutched in her hand. She looked smaller, stripped of all her shine. "Are you happy now?" she asked quietly. Her voice wasn't angry. Just broken. I turned to her, my chest tightening. "No, Lily. I'm not happy. I'm free. There's a difference." She swallowed hard. "You made the whole world hate me." I stepped closer, my voice steady. "I didn't make them hate you. I just stopped protecting the lie." Her jaw trembled. For the first time she didn't have a comeback. Dad finally spoke. "You've destroyed this family." I looked around at the framed smiles, the polished lies, the careful silence, and said softly, "No, Dad. I exposed what was already broken." I turned toward the door. My heels clicked once, twice, and then stopped. I looked back one last time. "I forgive you," I said. "Not because you deserve it, but because I'm done carrying this." And I left, walking out into the golden California sunlight, knowing that for the first time, their silence would never touch me again. It's strange how quiet life becomes once you stop waiting for an apology. 3 months have passed since that day, since I walked out of my parents' house and left the ghosts behind. Tuscany feels like home now. Mornings smell like espresso and lavender. Evenings hum with music and laughter from the little market down the hill. Peace doesn't feel like revenge anymore. It feels like freedom. Marcus and I started hosting small weddings at the villa. Intimate, soulful, real. Brides who had been told they weren't enough now walk barefoot through the same gardens I once cried in. Sometimes I catch the look in their eyes, that same ache I used to carry, and I tell them softly, "You don't need anyone's permission to be happy." A few weeks ago I got a letter from Mom. Not an email. Not a text. A real handwritten letter. The first line said, "I don't know if you'll ever forgive me, but I'm proud of the woman you've become." No excuses. No manipulation. Just words. Honest, fragile, human. I read it twice. Then I folded it neatly and placed it in a drawer. Some wounds don't need to be reopened to be healed. Sometimes acknowledgement is enough. Lily's silence has been louder than ever. I saw on social media that she and her husband moved to a smaller apartment. Her smile looked real for the first time. Maybe losing everything forced her to see what actually mattered. Maybe in a twisted way my revenge gave her that chance too. Yesterday, as the sun set over the villa, Marcus poured 2 glasses of wine. We stood on the balcony, the sky painted in gold and pink, the same colors from our wedding day. He looked at me and said, "Would you do it all again?" I thought for a long time before answering. "No," I said softly. "I'd live it differently. But I'd still end up right here. Because every betrayal, every silence, every cruel choice led me to the life I built with my own 2 hands. I took a deep breath and looked out at the horizon. The vineyards whispered in the wind, the air warm and endless. And for the first time in forever, I didn't feel the need to prove anything. I didn't need them to see. Because I saw me, finally, fully. And that was enough.